My name's Tom Hutchinson and I'm the project coordinator for the Royal Philharmonic Society in London. So the Royal Philharmonic Society has a wide net of activities. It gives awards, scholarships, bursaries. It has various concerts and events and collaborations with various musical organisations. And it has an area of its work which is creative projects or projects which look at various aspects of music making. As a project coordinator, you are there to facilitate, to bring people together. It's wonderful to have that position of calling someone and saying, would you like to be a part of this? It's even more wonderful to then be able to call them back and say, guess what, we've been chosen to create this work. The genesis for this project and this commission as part of the New Music Biennial was, it started with the Royal Philharmonic Society's project called Encore, which I sort of manage, and one of the works for that series was a piece by Brian Fernyhough called Prometheus, and it's quite a complex work. In some aspects it's quite difficult. It's for a wind sextet, and I thought it might be quite interesting to pair that with film. So I approached Ruth Paxton, Scottish filmmaker, to create a film to go alongside that work. At the premiere, I also asked composer Dobrinka Tabakova to bring and to submit a piece for that programme too, and at that concert Ruth and Dobrinka met. So when the Performing Rights Society Foundation for Music had this open call for commissions and ideas for the New Music Biennale, I immediately thought, well, it has to perhaps have an aspect of cross arts. So I was thinking, well, the works are going to be around 15 minutes long, what could work well? And I immediately thought of film and then maybe working with Ruth again. And then I thought of Dobrinka's music, because I think Dobrinka's music is very, I think it is cinematic in some respects. I think it has a purity about it, which I think can work well with image. And I thought, perhaps those two artists would work well together. And then I remembered actually that they had both met at this concert. So yeah, that's how the ball started to roll. It's really exciting to have the prospect of bringing together a project and a commission on such a global stage as the Commonwealth Games. I think both artists, both Ruth and Dobrinka, have a very fresh approach to their work. And I think they complement each other very well. The general concept we have is around the word pulse, and I think that the film and score will be named that, so the final presentation will be a work called Pulse. And I think that really, it touches various bases. It touches the lives of people, it touches the sense of busyness and the cosmopolitan nature of cities colliding and cultures mixing. I think it nods its head to the world of sport and having a pulse of sportsmen and all these sports coming together. If all goes well, it will unite and be an exciting prospect.
I'm Ruth Paxton. I'm a writer and director, and I live in Edinburgh. I think at the core of everything I do is drama. I don't, in terms of my longer format work to date, I haven't written much that's very genre oriented, although I am heading that way. A lot of the more experimental stuff that I do, I would describe as sort of mood pieces and reactions to paintings or briefs or bits of music. But in terms of my dramatic writing, it tends to be about family and powerful institutions and passionate relationships. I like commercial films, I like art house films, and I watch pretty much anything. I'm a big fan of Lars von Trier, big fan of the work that he does and the kind of things he writes about. I'm really into stories, which is convenient. But I'm always inspired by stuff that's got a sort of folklorish quality to it, fairy tales, fables. I'm really inspired by the stuff of Greek myths. And I would say that's that's a driving force in a lot of what I write about. I love responding to music. I'm an avid viewer of music videos. I really love consuming music videos. I watch a lot of them. and the score is always a very big part of my film watching experience. I listen to a lot of film scores when I write. The most exciting brief for me is when somebody sends me a piece of music, you know, and I think it's really important when you write something in response to music, if it's about serving the piece, that I don't think it always has to be literal, but I think it's got to honour the tone of that piece. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about the process of working with the Royal Philharmonic Society on Rockhaven, was that it wouldn't necessarily be a piece of music that I would have gravitated towards, but having the challenge of responding to it without having any visual brief whatsoever. It was a very freeing, very interesting process. I had previously been commissioned by the Royal Philharmonic Society as part of the Encore scheme to respond to a piece of music by Brian Ferneyhough called Prometheus. That was performed by the Northern Symphonia last October in Nottingham, and formed a relationship with Tom of the Royal Philharmonic Society then. It was also the same night that I met Dobrinka the first time, whose music I heard. It was her piece Metamorphoses, which I totally loved. So when Tom got in touch and asked me to be a part of this, working with Dobrinka, I was very excited, I was very honoured, but it also felt like some kind of fate. It was really cool. I think the main thing is that I feel so excited to be working with a composer whose music I genuinely really love, who I find really affecting. I mean, I listened to Dobrinka's album for a whole day recently, her new release, String Paths, and it had such a profound effect on me. You know, it moved me to tears at points. Dobrinka's music for me is incredibly cinematic. I know she's very strongly influenced by images, and very much keeps that at the forefront of what she's doing when she writes. And I think that transcends the music. It makes me think in pictures. Working with film, you're either responding to a piece of existing music that has all the development and process and emotion of the writer and the musicians, and it's happened, and you're responding to that from an abstract perspective. And then when you make a piece of drama and you want to have music with that, you're looking for a piece of music, or you're commissioning a piece of music that's responding again to something that exists most of the time. But to be doing this process where, you know, at this stage Dobrinka and I are sitting being excited about coming up even just with a title for the project, it feels incredibly special, and I can't think of what the final product will be yet, and that's equally frightening and also very, very exciting, because I'm completely confident it will be great. I am, you know, and we're both very committed. We're both on the same wavelength. I think it could be really powerful. You know, that's the intention.
I'm Dobrinka Tabakova. I'm a composer. I live in London. I started writing music through improvisation. I guess that was my road into composition, and I enjoy writing music which has a direct language. It says something directly, but there are layers behind that. I'd probably say nature is a major inspiration. Some part of storytelling, having a narrative, having an idea of telling something very personal in a slightly veiled way through the abstract language of music. I think that's all intriguing and inspirational for me. I started, my first encounters with music were mostly classical, and I particularly love world music, and I'm particularly drawn to mountain music. I think there's a feeling of space and a feeling of communicating over really large ranges. The initial image that I had in my mind, it was actually an image. It was of a bright spark, something that reaches people, illuminates a space, and how to create that musically. That was one of the very first impulses that I had when we started talking about this project, and I'm so excited to be working with Ruth Paxton because I saw her work for the first time we met. I saw her Rockhaven film to Brian Ferneyhough's Prometheus, and I felt that it was such a strong visualization of something so abstract, really strong images which spoke to me immediately, and I'm always drawn to things that have that immediacy, and so to be creating a work together with her is I'm really excited. At the heart of the project is a feeling of community and of a city, people being drawn together, and I think that's on a larger scale. That is what the Commonwealth is. It's a kind of extended family of countries. To be able to create something which can speak on such a large scale and try and bring all of those strands, all of those nations, and appeal to a large audience is very exciting.